Greetings to everyone who is watching this video. I am Ankita Sarkar. I am from second year MSc Data Science in VIT Chennai and my roll number is 22MDT1067. This is a video I have made as a part of my curriculum assignment of CSE6060, that is Statistical Natural Language Processing. I have taken up the topic automatic text summarization, which is a part of NLP, and explained everything regarding to it in this video. So feel free to join me on this video. This is the contents of the presentation. I have subdivided the presentation into 7 main topics. The first is what is automatic text summarization, in which we will be learning about what actually is summarization, text summarization and automatic text summarization. We would be then looking into its history and application. Then we would be looking at the various approaches of automatic text summarization, as in the way in which the text summarization is done. Then further, we will be going into the categorization of automatic text summarization based on the various facts. Next, we have frequently used data set for automatic text summarization, followed by the future scope and the conclusion. At the end, I have mentioned about the references from which I build up this presentation. Moving on to the first topic, that is automatic text summarization. The first question that arises in our mind is, what is automatic text summarization? Summarization, as we all know, is reducing the length of a text or a paragraph or an essay without losing the essence of it. The accepted definition of summarization is the task of compressing a piece of text into a shorter version, minimizing the size of the original text, keeping crucial informational aspects and content meaning is known as summarization. We see in this image the document and its summary. The ones that have been blue highlighted are the contents which have all the essence of these documents, and those are the ones that are retained in the summary. An alternate definition of summarization is, it is a reductive transformation of source text into a summary text by extraction or by generation. And another definition that says, an automatic summary is a text generated by a software that is coherent, that is, it has the essence or the meaning and contains a significant amount of relevant information. Again, it holds the essence from the source text. Basically, we have a rate which is called as the compression rate. The compression rate is the number of words in summary divided by number of words to source. A study done by C.Y. Lin in 1999 shows that the compression rate between 15 to 30% is one of the best performances of automatic summarization, as it holds the essence without changing the meaning of the text of the newly made text. That is the summary. Now, a question might be arising if it is optimal to use computers for summarizing, because words and meaning are subjective to how they are used in the sentence. So, yeah, of course, people are better at summarizing a document because the human brain is capable of intercepting the fact of what a word means in the particular sentence and the context and use it so in the summary. But again, since it has having a human do the work of summarization has its disadvantage, such as the time that is taken by the human to do that, or maybe the length of the text that is, or maybe the language of the text that is. If say I am proficient in English and the text that I'm supposed to summarize is in Urdu, so I won't officially be able to do that. So that is why automatic text summarization is useful as a supplement to manual summarization. And again, automatic text summarization can be used as a supplement rather than a substitute, because machine even now is not till the optimal functional of what we would like to achieve, because again, words and meaning, the system computers may or may not be able to understand what it means and what it doesn't. So it needs aid from the human intervention. As discussed in the previous slide, we see that automatic text summarization is used to supplement the manual text summarization as done by people. Some of the reasons of why to choose automatic text summarization is it saves the reading time. It helps in selection of document when conducting research. Indexing has been proven to be more successful when automatic summarization is used. Also, in human, there is a chance of bias. So, in case of that, it is always better to use automatic text summarization. Also, since this summarization softwares, they provide personalized information. Personalized summaries are important in question answering system. One example that we would come up with is if we have a text and if the text has to be extracted by two people, we would not want it to be same by two people. We would want it to be different, and hence the automatic summarization of documents come into play. And a commercial abstract services can, when we commercialize it, it can improve the number of text they can process by using automatic or semi-automatic summarization techniques. So a commercialization of this automatic text summarization is helpful on a larger scale in this world. Next up is the second topic, that is the history as well as the applications. The first text summarization was done in 1957 by Hans Peter Lund. He did the text summarization with statistical techniques. Post that, the work of text summarization was sort of stagnant and again picking up pace in the year 2015, which is very recently. And this significantly happened due to the fact that there was a large amount of data available in the internet, and to reduce the space of what we want to store and to reduce the time of retrieval of data, the interest in text summarization arose. 2016 saw a new approach, that is term frequency inverse document frequency, which is abbreviated at TF-IDF. This technique went on to become the key technique in summarization. Again on the same year, we see another approach, that is the pattern-based summarization approach. This is again notable for its effectiveness in multi-document summarization. The next year saw transition to latent semantic analysis and non-negative matrix factorization. These are again successors of the previously used method, and they offered improved summarization outcome. By 2019, we saw the machine learning dominance, wherein machine learning methods were used for extractive summarization for single documents. From the year 2020 to currently, there is a huge number of research going on in this field, and right now the work is mainly towards the abstractive and the real-time summarization. So, what are the applications of automatic text summarization in the day-to-day life? A couple of them are mentioned below here. Some I would like to mention about is tweet summarization, where the Twitter tweet is reduced so that it can be used as a data set probably, or to know more about what the tweet wanted to say. Next is web page summarization. This happens to be extremely useful for students, as students and researchers alike, because they have to go through large web pages, and this helps in them going through the pages through a very short time. Again, meeting summarization, which is used in the professional settings, where a meeting of say probably 30 minutes can be summarized, and it can just be brought to a paragraph or a page that just takes a person 5 minutes to go through that. And this is how the minutes of the meeting can be made very well. And one of the major technological advancement in case of text summarization which works are going on is the use of summarization in the medical field. We know medical field has an abundant amount of data, so to have it summarized and have it somewhere is absolutely helpful for the doctors as well as the patients alike. Next up, we have approaches of automatic text summarization. The approaches are two general approaches to automatic text summarization. The first is extraction-based summarization. Extraction-based summarization has the key factor of it that it preserves the content without any modification. Examples include the key phrases, key sentences, and representative video or image or the music segment. This is a text extraction which can be compared with skimming, where as we have used that in going through literature paper and English papers, where one reads the headings, subheadings, figures and select paragraph before considering a detailed reading. So basically you are supposed to skim through that and go through just the important topics. You might have done this while going through the unseen passages in your English paper when you were back in school. So it is just similar to that. Again, the extraction can also identify key sequence of text with clinical relevance. So basically this extraction, what it does is it brings out the main key part of the extraction without losing the essence. Next we have the abstractive based summarization. Abstractive, as the name says, is it just takes out the abstract. It doesn't mean to say that the keywords have to be written. It brings out the meaning of this whatever it is trying to summarize. So it is mentioned here, abstractive summarization generates new text not present in the original source. But again, since it's a condition of summarization, it does not lose its essence or its meaning. So basically the words, you can say it's being paraphrased and still the meaning has been same as the before. It is applied mainly to textual content. It creates an internal semantic representation of the original content, often referred to as a language model. Also, abstractive summarization is computationally. As we all know, the computer, to understand what a sentence means, what it doesn't, depends upon the context. So it is a bit more challenging, and since it needs to paraphrase, so it's a bit more challenging than the extraction based summarization, because extraction based summarization we have to pick up the keyword as is, but for this we have to paraphrase and then pick it up. Abstraction is basically involved in transforming and paraphrasing, as I have mentioned. Next we have aided summarization. Aided summarization is not a part of the two approaches, that is the extraction based and the abstraction based, but still it is a significant approach because, as mentioned before, summarization is not with the intent of replacing human summarization, manual summarization that is, it is with the intent of supporting. So this is where we come to know about this better. So basically it is a combined software and a human effort. In machine aided human summarization, extractive techniques highlight candidate passages for inclusion in human, and it also has two types. The first one is machine aided human summarization. This happens to be the first one. The extractive techniques highlight passages for inclusion. So basically the machine works. The machine says, I want the X, Y, Z paragraphs to be extracted as it holds the most number of key phrases or meaning that can be used for summarization, and the human then uses their intelligence to extract just from those XYZ paragraphs. The second one is human-aided machine summarization, in which the roles are reversed, where the human lets the machine know that from a big essay say, the human picks up the XYZ paragraph and the machine then takes out the summary from the XYZ paragraph only instead of the entire essay. Fourth, we have the categorization of automatic text summarization. There are 9 categories of automatic text summarization we have discussed in this lecture. With the first one is classification based on input documents. So they are of 2 types: single document summarization, which summarizes a single document, and a multi-document summarization, which summarizes multiple information from multiple documents into one summary. Next is classification based on summarization methods. This is the same as discussed in the subheading 3, that was the approaches, where we discussed about the extractive summarization, abstractive, and the hybrid summarization, which also further has machine-human and human-machine summarization. The third kind of summarization as done by researchers is the classification based on output summary nature. It has 2 types. Number 1 being the generic summarization, and number 2 be the query based summarization. The generic summarization gives a concise idea of the source document, whereas the query based summarization generates a summary based on the queries. This is very obvious from the names that we see. As discussed in the initial part of this lecture, I mentioned a human might have an inefficiency that probably, as I gave my example, I might be proficient in English and I'm supposed to do text summarization in Urdu, so that's not feasible by me, and that can be advantage of the automatic text summarization, that is. So that advantage has been taken off in here based on the classification has been done based on the summary language. It can be monolingual, one language, input and output are in the same language. Multilingual, that is the input is in multiple language, as probably you can consider tweets by Indians, which is in English, both Hindi and English, and the output is generated accordingly if we want it in English or if we want it at Hindi. Or maybe the third one is the cross-lingual summarization, where the input is in one language and output is in another. Isn't it wonderful? I say something in a language that I know, probably I say it in Bengali, and then other person, I want it to be summarized in a different language, and they can hear, probably someone from Tamil Nadu in Tamil. So basically, automatic text summarization, I'm taking a moment to explain about what the advantages of automatic text summarization is. It's so wonderful that probably I have a poem of Rabindranath Tagore and I want some of my friend from Tamil Nadu to go through it, and it can be summarized and they can understand the essence. This is the advantage of automatic text summarization explained in real time. Next is classification based on summarization algorithm. As we know, machine learning algorithms are of 2 types, 2 broad types: supervised and unsupervised. So here also, since machine learning algorithms have been started to be used in NLP starting 2019, it has seen a dominance. So in NLP also we have something called as supervised summarization, where training data with a labeled input is required, and unsupervised summarization, where no training phase is required. Classification based on the summary content. It is classified into 3 types: inductive summarization, which provides a generic idea; informative summarization, it contains all the main topics; and evaluative or critical summarization, which expresses the author's viewpoint. This has primarily been used in case of literature, prose, text, to understand about what is the summary content and what we really want out of it. Basically it's what's the requirement of the user And based on that, this classification can be done based on the requirement. This is a classification based on a very simple type, that is the summary types. The summary can be in the following types, that is just the headline, which is a concise summary shorter than a sentence, or maybe a sentence level, which is just a sentence as a summary, or maybe the highlight where it presents bullet points in form of pointers, or full summary where it generates based on compression rate or user requirement, what the user requires. To make this presentation, I have used this point, that is highlight. Basically what I went through the text, the references which I have mentioned in the last point. I went through them and I used a summarization technique where I present all the data that I have received in the research papers, and I have presented it in point of pointers, as you can see, and I have used automatic text summarization in real time. The last two are summarization based on summarization domain. It can be genre specific, domain dependent, or domain independent, where genre specific is specific to certain text templates, domain dependent is tailored to one domain, and domain independent is of course not dependent on any domain. And the last classification is based on processing level. The surface level approaches where it's sort of like a skimming, where we just go overall, we do not go inside what does it means, and we just mention what it is. And a deeper level approach where we go deeper into what it really means. This one example of this that I can think of is summarization of a poem. If we take up any poem of probably William Shakespeare and we come up with surface level approaches, it might seem to be a different sort of story, but if we go to a deeper approach, it has a very deeper meaning of what the sentence is. So this classification sort of helps us in that. Mentioning about frequently used data sets in automatic text summarization, there is basically the task for doing the various automatic text summarization tasks. There are numerous data sets. I have mentioned about just 5 of them here for your reference. The first one happens to be DUC, the details of which has been mentioned here. The next happens to be the text analysis conference dataset, to which DUC, as discussed before, was added to. Next we have the Giga word, which was created by Rush in the year 2015. Again we have a data set which was created in the year 2015 itself, that goes by the name of LCTCS, and it was constructed from a Chinese microblogging website called Sina Weibo, and it is in Chinese. Next is one of the very popular ones that most of us know of because we are ardent visitors of Wikipedia for getting text for our research works and for our interests. It is WikiHow. So WikiHow was created in 2018 by Copy and Wang. The last one I would like to mention about is a English language based data set that is called the CNN. It is the CNN / the Daily Mail. Basically these two happen to be the news website and newspapers in Great Britain, and this has just over 300,000 unique news articles written by journalists, and hence it has a very large corpora which can be used in case of text summarization. Last but not the least, discussion about the future scope and the conclusion of this lecture. The future scope happens to be that the research should focus on defining high quality summaries and exploring different approaches, and we would need a powerful as well as a commercial text summarization so that it can be used by us in day-to-day life. We would also be needing to improve the quality of the machine learning algorithms that are currently used. And also a future challenge that we have is to make summaries that are coherent and they regain the essence. As we saw, there are about 9 types of classification of automatic text summarization, on which in fact they themselves have subgroups. So it's a difficult task as of now to choose what is the suitable tool for summarization. So we need to work on that as well. We also need to come up with a more comprehensive annotated data set for text summarization. Annotated, that is labeled, so that it can be used in supervised machine learning. As we all know that a supervised machine learning model works much better than an unsupervised one, and it's always preferred whenever there is annotation available. And again, a data set should be not in particular one language. It should be a mixture of various languages, say as I gave an example before of English, probably Hindi and English involved, so that it can be used to to summarize. We need to come up with robust evaluation methods for assessing summary quality, and it is a crucial need. The last point that I would like to mention is integrating summarization system with other intelligence system may improve the performance. That is one example that we can think of right now is integrating the automatic text summarization system with probably say a GPT, and that would give summary what is with suggestions, and that would be a much more intelligent system. Coming to the conclusion of this lecture, in this lecture we understood what automatic text summarization means. We recognized of how automatic summarization is a part of NLP. We also worked on the point, we learned the various approaches, that is abstractive and abstractive methods. We also discussed about the types of classifications that can be done, and next we came up with the data sets that have been frequently used so that anyone can explore into that and look further into their research and interest as such in automatic text summarization. Post that, we discussed about the future scope of, and we had a small discussion about the shortcomings as well as what the future scope of automatic text summarization is, which gives an idea of how the research can proceed. And last but not the least, we have the conclusion where we discuss about what was talked about in here. So we have reached to the last part, that is the references that were used to make this presentation. The references are listed over here, which can be explored for further reading. That's all to the presentation and walkthrough of automatic text summarization. I hope it was clear and understandable for whosoever is going through this content. And in case of any queries, please feel free to go through the references or reach out to me in case of any concerns. I appreciate you listening to this lecture. Thank you.